The face in the painting. This is a true story. When I was about 10 years old, I shared a bedroom with my younger brother. He was a few years younger than me, and we were really close. By that point in my life, I was already experiencing paranormal activity. I had kind of gotten used to it, though it still scared me from time to time. Most of the time, I try to brush it off and ignore it because I wanted to be like the other kids. I figured no one would believe me anyway. One afternoon, I was playing on the swing set with my brother. My dad had just built it for us. We had only recently moved into this house. It wasn't old. In fact, I'd watched it being built while my parents drove past every now and then during construction. At that time, there weren't many houses around. It was mostly farmland, and we were one of the first families to build there. That day, my dad came home with a few paintings to decorate the house. We barely had anything on the walls yet, since we hadn't been in Australia for very long. My mum started hanging the paintings with my dad, while my brother and I continued playing outside until it got dark and it was time to come in. Later, I went inside, grabbed something to eat, took a shower, brushed my teeth, and as always, kissed my mum and dad goodnight. But when I opened my bedroom door and switched on the light, I froze. On the wall was one of the new paintings my dad had bought. I just stood there staring at it. I felt myself zoning out, and I remember my heart was racing. An uneasy feeling spread through me, and tears started to run down my face. I ran to my mum and told her, "I don't like this painting." It showed a Victorian-style girl sitting on a rocking chair with a cat at her feet. The furniture around her looked very old. The whole painting had an old, creepy feel to it, but that wasn't what I was afraid of. I got upset at my dad and asked, "Why did you put that in my room?" He said it was beautiful and that the little girl looked like me. My mum didn't understand why I was crying and brushed it off, but I was absolutely terrified of being in my room. Even now, just thinking about it gives me the chills. That night, I tried not to look at the painting. I said my prayers and went to sleep. But the painting was at an angle where it faced my bed. It was large and hard to ignore. What was once my safe space now made me sick with fear every time I looked at it, or even just being in the room. One day I was sitting on the bed playing cards with my brother. I still try not to make eye contact with it. My brother asked why I didn't like the painting. I asked him, "Can't you see it?" "See what?" he said. I pointed. "On the tablecloth in the painting there's a face. Do you see it?" He leaned in close, squinting at it, then backed away and looked again. No, there's nothing there. But I could see it perfectly. It was the face of a young girl with very short curly hair. She looked indigenous, and she was smiling. It had started off like a shadow, but every day the features became clearer and more detailed. No one else could see it but me. I began to feel sick, anxious, and started having nightmares. Finally, my parents became concerned and called our parish priest. He came to bless my room and the painting. He looked at it, then at me. His expression changed. He looked terrified. I asked him, "Do you see it?" He stared at the painting and said quietly, "The face right here?" "Yes," I said. He didn't say anything else except, and started praying. I know he saw it too, but for some reason, he wouldn't acknowledge it outright. When he finished, he stayed for tea and then he left. The nightmares continued. My anxiety got worse. For some reason, my dad had glued the painting to the wall. If he tried to remove it, it would rip the wall. He hadn't done that with the other paintings, which was really strange. That meant it had to stay. My mum tried covering it with a sheet so I wouldn't see it, but knowing what was behind that sheet made it worse. Weeks passed, my nightmares kept coming, my anxiety kept building. Finally, I decided to check if the face was still there. Slowly, I climbed onto my brother's bed so I could reach, and carefully pulled the sheet down. I screamed so loud my mum came running. I started panicking and covering my eyes. The face had become so clear that now even my mum could see it plainly in daylight. "I see it. Oh my God, I see it," she gasped. She ran to my dad. My dad didn't want to admit he saw anything, but he finally agreed the painting had to come down. He got some tools and pried it off the wall, leaving a big hole behind. Not only did I want it gone, now my mum wanted it gone too. My dad put the painting out at the front of the house and someone took it. From that moment on, my nightmares stopped. My room felt safe again, but I will never forget that painting or that face.